Hey everybody, you're watching Bolt Up with Ernesto Vega. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the new coaching hires, specifically head coach Anthony Lynn and defensive coordinator Gus Bradley. First off, head coach Anthony Lynn. Now I have to say, just like many, I've been a bit of a skeptic when it came to the new coaching hire. I couldn't understand, for one, why they would make the decision so quickly, especially in the wake of the, just announcing the move to Los Angeles, and then you had the new logo, and then it being a backfire. And then you had, excuse me. Oh, and then you had the Rams. They're going and making their new coaching hire, and then boom, all of a sudden it's head coach Anthony Lynn as the new coach of the Chargers. As a fan, I like to try to put myself in the head of those in charge, and in this case, one could argue that the sooner the better. The faster you make the hire, the faster the process can begin. In a way, it might have been the best option to go ahead and pick up the guy that you want, with the least amount of time wasted. Now, think about this. The advantage of a quick hire is you get to make yourself acquainted with the new staff as a coach. You now have the face of the newest era in Charger football to win over the press. And if I'm Dean Spanos, I want Lynn and Telesco to start getting to work immediately on all the business at hand as far as free agency, the upcoming draft, and most importantly, the reconstruction of the new coaching staff. As you saw, Lynn wasted no time in reaching out to Gus Bradley and stealing him away from the Redskins. You're also giving all of your staff, the max amount of time to get their affairs in order, moving situations, etc. And the last reason is the head coach gets a chance to become more familiar with his players and work with the roster as soon as possible. But I still wasn't sure why they chose the interim head coach out of Buffalo, considering he never had the head position elsewhere. I, for one, was looking forward to Matt Patricia. He was the one who guided the Patriots to having the number one defense in the league. And as I'm sure you know, his mentor/boss is arguably the best head coach of all time in Bill Belichick. Plus, all you heard from sources like ESPN and Fox Sports and other agencies was how baffled they were that the Chargers chose this essential nobody in the eyes of most of the league. They're saying things like Buffalo didn't even pick him up, and he was their interim head coach. And then why, like I said, why they would pick this no-name type of coach when, why they would pick this no-name type of coach when you're in desperate need of winning due to the unforgiving LA fan base. So I did my own analysis of Coach Lynn, and I'm not going to say that I became excited, but I was definitely intrigued by his resume and some of the things that I found out about him that I didn't know before. First off, the fact that he's been coaching for 17 years now is a good sign. It's not a lot of time, but to me it's a good amount of time to become seasoned and to start becoming experienced, and that is also a lot of time to study and analyze the game and analyze the teams and the way they function without having the whole pressure and all the weight of the team on his shoulders. For those of you that don't know, he was a running backs coach for a majority of his career. He coached for the Jaguars, Cowboys, Browns, Jets, and lastly for the Bills. He coached under some of the best football minds, such as Jack Del Rio, Bill Parcells, Romeo Crennel, and also Rex Ryan. In my opinion, that's a pretty impressive lineup of teachers for the former running backs coach. In his years training running backs, it is easy to see that he has had a huge impact immediately on most of the teams that he coached, especially in the recent years in the last decade. The year prior to him coaching Buffalo, the Bills' rushing game was well below the bar, ranking at 25th in the league in rushing yards. 1 year after his arrival, Lynn brought the team all the way from the bottom to being the number one rushing leader in the NFL with a total of 2,432 rushing yards and tied for number one in rushing TDs with 19. Since 2009, Anthony Lynn's offenses have ranked up in the top 6 in rushing yards 6 times and ranked in the top 3 4 times. In his 2015-2016 season with the Bills, they had led the league at number one in rushing yards, number one in yards per attempt, and number one in rushing touchdowns. If that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what else will. On top of it all, one of the things that stood out as well is that he will have command presence amongst the players. He is a no-nonsense type of coach who values disciplined players. He isn't what you would call friendly, but he knows how to light a fire, which resonates especially with the players. You want a guy that wants to win at all costs and will entice the players to work hard. And something that I haven't known to be too common amongst most coaches is he likes to work closely with the practice squad. To me, his supervision over the backups will be a definite, quick, and fresh change to the norm. He likes the idea of using the practice squad to the team's overall advantage. He plans on giving them a lot of reps against the starting 11 on offense and defense. The great thing about that is not only are you improving the skills of the practice squad, but you're improving the skills of the starting players. Because now they're practicing against players who had to work hard to earn their spots, and also they feel like they're more of a necessity towards the team. They feel like they're important to the team's overall success, and that plays a huge role in player development. It plays a huge role in the overall just unit and uniting of the team. Another advantage to this is by having these backups roaring and ready to go at all times, that plays a huge role in the next man up theory. Starters go down, and now you have seasoned backups who have had to train against the star players all year and are ready when their names are called. So they're more likely, and once game situations occur, when someone comes out, when somebody has to step off the field, these guys are more prepared to have to come in. And if that wasn't enough, he gets to start with one of the league's bright up-and-comers in Melvin Gordon. He had a huge breakout season behind a lackluster offensive line, and still managed to come 3 yards away from rushing for 1,000 yards in the season after checking out for the last 3 games due to injury. I believe that Anthony Lynn has the experience necessary to bringing the young Gordon to the next level in his career, not to mention if the Chargers elect to re-sign Danny Woodhead in this offseason, that'll be yet another weapon that Anthony Lynn will be able to use in his arsenal. So to me, Lynn is the best option as far as making the offense not so one-dimensional. One thing though, I really hope he doesn't plan on being another basic type of coach, because we've had basic in the past with Mike McCoy and Norv Turner, and basic only works when you have execution. And even execution is not going to matter in the fourth quarter when it rolls around and basic is now predictable. It's easy to recognize formations when you've been doing the same type of thing all year long, game in and game out, quarter after quarter. So his biggest thing is he needs to find a way of opening up and making things more deceptive, making things harder to recognize. So that's what's going to be, in my opinion, the difference maker for his success. So for the most part, I'm pleased with Coach Lynn. I think he's going to set us up to win a lot of games this upcoming season. Closing out games is going to be his biggest challenge, though. Coach, I wish you good luck and a very successful career with the Chargers. Now, on to defensive coordinator Gus Bradley. Bradley started out his career coaching in 2006, but got promoted to linebackers coach in 2007. In 2009, Bradley's defensive coordinator Monte Kiffin told Seahawks head coach Jim Elmora, and I quote, "JL, listen to me. I have a guy here in Tampa that is one of, if not the finest football coaches I have ever worked with. He is an A+. He is a once-in-a-lifetime coach. You need to talk to him." Needless to say, after that recommendation, he was, very easily hired on to the Seahawks coaching staff as defensive coordinator. And then once Pete Carroll took over as head coach in 2010, he also decided to keep Bradley as defensive coordinator. A year later, in 2011, Bradley brought his defense from 27th in yards allowed per game and 25th in points allowed per game and took them to, A year later, in 2011, Bradley brought his defense from 27th in yards allowed per game and 25th in points allowed per game and took them from that to 9th in yards and 7th in points and allowed. So all the way from 27th and 25th to 9th and 7th in 1 year. The reason for that is during the 2011 season, Gus Bradley crafted the group into one of the more dangerous and explosive defenses in the league, and subsequently honed the secondary group into becoming one of the best secondaries in NFL history. And I think most of you know that as the dude literally created the Legion of Boom. Gus Bradley is the founder of the Legion of Boom. If that doesn't get you excited about the potential defensive powerhouse that we could possibly become, like I said, I don't know what's going to get you excited about Gus Bradley. This is it right here. The fact that he has done amazing things with defenses and created, like I said, probably the most explosive and dominant secondary in the league that has ever been. So once he developed the defense into the destructive powerhouse in 2012, Coach Bradley coordinated the front seven in the Legion of Boom to be ranked 4th in the league in yards allowed per game, 8th in interceptions, and number 1 in allowed points per game. He led the defense to only give up an average of 15.3 yards per game. That is insane. That is crazy. The fact that he was able to guide these guys and coach them and put them in a position to only give up 15.3 yards per game. That is fucking crazy. Excuse my language, but it is crazy. Now, with all his success, he went on to accept the head coaching job for the Jacksonville Jaguars. His team struggled during his 4 years there, but personally, I attribute that to a weak franchise system, a mediocre roster at best, and let's be honest, the offense became its weakest point, especially after Maurice Jones-Drew left the Jags. And I'm sorry, but Julius Thomas ain't going to do shit with Blake Bortles at the helm. I hate to say it, but Gus Bradley had to deal with one of the more depressingly inaccurate quarterbacks in the league. But despite all that, Bradley managed to receive some help in last year with some decent defensive player pickups in the 2016 draft. The Jags defense was able to go number 6 in the league in yards allowed per game and number 5 in passing yards allowed per game. Now, Gus is known for being a 4-3 defense type of guy, but he sounds like he plans on mixing up the D with 3-4s and 4-3s, mixing them together as well. He's not just going to be, from what it sounds like, he's not going to be just one type of defense. He's going to try to mix the best of both, with the players that they have, and try to make, a more deceptive defense, a defense that's harder to read. He also has gotten a lot of positive feedback from previous players such as star cornerback Richard Sherman and even veteran Charger Brandon Mebane also played for Gus while he was in Seattle. Sherman told Casey Hayward during the Pro Bowl that he is going to love learning from him, that Bradley is the type of coach that will motivate you to run through walls. That's what Richard Sherman said, obviously a member of Legion of Boom. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I'm hyped to see what Coach Gus Bradley can do, especially now he's going to be focused on his specialty, which is the defense. Luckily for the Chargers and the new defensive coordinator, he will be working with one of the best young, talented, players in the league, and will be taking another dangerous secondary group in the Chargers' very own backfield squad, formerly known as the Hunters. The squad will have top-tier cornerbacks Jason Verrett, who is looked to be one of the league's top 5 corners, and on the other side of the field, in the 2016 interceptions leader and first-time Pro Bowler Casey Hayward, along with the solid strong hitter and safety Jaleel Addae. And veteran Pro Bowl cornerback Brandon Flowers will also be a part of that group. Now, I believe that Coach Bradley can take this core secondary and push them to their max potential and turn them into a group not to be reckoned with. He has the knowledge and know-how to make offensive coordinators He has the knowledge and the know-how to make offensive coordinators' lives very difficult on game days. He has the tools necessary to become one of the more deceptive and hard-to-figure-out groups. Plus, he has the years and experience and ability to bring defenses together and instill intensity into each and every player that goes out on that field. So at the end of the day, I would say that the Chargers organization chose the best 2 coaches available, and I think they will fit nicely with the group of guys we have out there. Coach Lynn has the makings of a high-level coach who will bring back the running game, and his demand for discipline will hopefully limit mistakes. Coach Bradley already has a history for building very high-skilled defenses who limit points and cause his players to have a battle-like intensity. All right, well, that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching this episode of Bolt Up. I'd like to thank all my supporters. I'd like to thank all my viewers. Your support means the world to me. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more episodes of Bolt Up. And if you have any questions or comments that you would like to leave me, that you want me to incorporate in the next couple shows, please post them, message me, and I will definitely love to get, to my opinions and thoughts on those. Thank you very much. You guys have an awesome day.